volleyball shirt.
Blower head.
Cross shirt.
Is that who those guys?
Yeah, those guys in the back are. Ken's out of town. But
Right.
Okay.
we wanna see.
Let's go ahead and call the meeting to order, please.
Regular meeting of Washington, Missouri City Council, Monday, October 18th, 2021, 7 p.m. Heidrich?
Here.
Holtemeyer?
Here.
Patke?
Here.
Pettit?
Here.
Reed?
Yep.
Scornia?
Here.
Solentrup?
Here.
Wessels?
Here.
Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance
Will all the council members answer if they have or have not read the minutes of the council meeting dated October 4th, 2021? Heidrich?
Aye.
Holtemeyer?
Aye.
Patke?
Yes.
Pettit?
Yes.
Reed?
Yep.
Scornia?
Yes.
Solentrup? Wessels?
Aye. You got homework.
Having read the minutes, are there any questions or comments?
Make motion.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Holtmeyer, seconded by Patke, to approve the minutes from our last meeting dated October 4, 2021. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? By your vote, you approve the minutes. Thank you.
Approval and adjustment of agenda?
Okay, so we need a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
Second.
Who said it first?
Over there. I think it was C.
She made a motion, I seconded.
Okay, so we have a motion by Pettit, seconded by Holtmeyer to approve the agenda. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? By your vote, you approve the agenda. Thank you.
Priority items, mayor's presentations, appointments and reappointments, proclamation honoring Donald Haney for 70 years of service.
You know, it was 10 years ago when I read a proclamation because you were celebrating 60 years. And that was, I remember thinking at the time, wow, 60 years with the fire department, that's a really, really long time. And now it's been 10 more, so it's 70. So, I mean, most deserving of a...
I'm not going for 80.
Well, now, come on. That's what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping for 80. So anyway, but you were just a high school student, I'm sure, when you started doing the fire department, or started?
No, I was 19.
19, okay.
Yeah.
Very
I
good.
was out of high school 2 years ago.
Okay, all right. So did you have friends who were members of the fire department?
Yeah.
Is that how it happened?
Buster Bauman, you may remember him.
Yes?
He was a good friend of mine. He was on the fire department. And one night after band practice, the fire department was called to a fire down at the dump, the city dump down here.
Yeah, down at the riverfront,
Yeah.
right? I remember that too.
And so I was spraying water with the hose, and he said something about me joining the fire department. Yeah, that'd be a fun thing to do. I thought then. I soon found out it was much more serious than just being fun.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, what a rich history you have for having been there. You've seen a lot of things, I'm sure.
Yes.
You know, a lot of changes, a lot of new equipment, a lot of
yeah.
improvements and things like that, so.
My first vehicle I was assigned to was a 1935 Dodge truck.
Wow.
And that had been around for quite a while, well, since 35. And it was on there for another 8 years, I think, something like that. Then it was replaced by the Snorkel.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, very good. I remember that too.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. You were up in there a couple times.
Yeah, I think I was. So anyway, okay, well, we're recognizing Don this evening because what a great history he has with the fire department for 70 years, and certainly most deserving of a proclamation. And I also found out another little tidbit of information from you, so we've included that too. So anyway,
okay.
but anyway, so we have a mayor's proclamation, City of Washington, Missouri, honoring 70 years of service, Donald D. Haney. Whereas Donald D. Haney joined the Washington Fire Department on September 28, 1951, served as captain and company secretary from 1965 through 1967, assistant chief from 1967 to 1968, chief from 1968 through 1981, and was voted Firefighter of the Year in 1984. And whereas Donald D. Haney served on the Firefighters Association of Missouri since 1955 and received the Phil Sayard Lifetime Achievement Award in 2012. And whereas even though he has never been a member of the military, Donald D. Haney is an honorary member of the American Legion, as he has honored many veterans by playing taps at their funerals. He also plays taps for the city's Memorial Day service, the Firefighters Association of Missouri Memorial Service in Kingdom City, and Washington Fire Department's Memorial Service every year in October to honor fallen firefighters. I learned that at the POW event, that you had been playing taps for almost as long as you've been a fireman. Longer. Okay, so anyway, and whereas many people in and around Washington, Missouri know Donald D. Haney as a volunteer firefighter and recognize his service with the Washington Fire Department, and whereas the City of Washington desires to recognize and express its sincerest gratitude to one such individual who has so unselfishly given of his time and efforts in service to the public with his many years of involvement, and who has done so with a caring heart and a thoughtful mind. Now therefore I, Sandy Lucy, Mayor of Washington, Missouri, do hereby extend my sincere congratulations to Donald D. Haney for 70 years of service to the City of Washington Fire Department, and speaking on behalf of the entire City Council and all our citizens, do hereby tender to him this proclamation extending our deep appreciation and gratitude for his exemplary service in the City of Washington and the local community. In witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused to be affixed the seal of the City of Washington, Missouri, this 18th day of October, 2021. Sandy Lucy.
But
Section is back here with you too. So,
I'm not the speech maker. I give that up to the guy that replaced me,
oh,
Bill Helmick. and the one that replaced him, Tim Frankenberg. But I do have a few things to say, not much. It's been a pleasure to first serve the city for 70 years. It's been a fun thing. It's been a serious thing, very serious in many cases. I served as president of the State Association for one term back in 1985 or somewhere along in there. That was interesting. I did serve the city as city treasurer. That was interesting because I was fire chief at the same time and the city treasurer, and we never had any problems with money in those days. I served about 30 years as city treasurer, and that was something to do in those days. That's about all I got to say. That's enough. You don't want a speech from me anyway.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Thank you all for being here as well tonight. So anyway, and thank you, Mark, for the.
You're welcome. Well deserved.
Heading to the saloon.
That's awesome.
Tell people it's not a job, it's a lifestyle.
I didn't know that.
What an amazing guy. 70 years.
Whose daughter's
That was
Oh, was it? Yeah. He comes every
Planning and Zoning Commission appointment.
Okay, in your packet this evening is a letter requesting the appointment of Mike Wood to the Planning and Zoning Commission. His term would expire in April of 2025.
I'll make a motion.
second.
Okay, we have a motion by Holtemeyer, seconded by Pettit, to approve the appointment of Mike Wood to the Planning and Zoning Commission. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? By your vote, you approve the appointment. Thank you.
Police Department reappointments.
We have a number of reappointments this evening on the Police Department.
A number of them.
Evening, council. I have 5 officers for reappointment. You have Officer Nolan Crawford, formerly a firefighter, and then came to the light side and became a police officer. Officer Greg Garrett, he's a school resource officer. Officer Casey Hill, Officer Charles Shear, and Officer Paul Pfeiffer. All these officers are exemplary in their service to the city and its citizens. They do a professional job, they serve and protect, and they do it from their hearts. And I am proud to ask you for their reappointment.
Okay, are there any questions or comments?
Make a motion.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Holtemeyer, seconded by Pettit, to approve the reappointments of Police Officer Nolan Crawford, Police Officer Greg Garrett, Police Officer Casey Hill, Police Officer Charles Shear, and Police Officer Paul Pfeiffer. And all of these are for the usual one-year term.
Yes.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? By your vote, you approve the reappointments. Thank
Thank you,
you.
council. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Public hearings. Special use permit 501 West 2nd Street.
Good evening. Tonight on your agenda is another request for short-term lodging or vacation rental. Again, this is a special use permit to allow any lodging that is less than 30 days. It is just outside the new downtown district we created, so that is why they're going forward with the special use permit tonight. The property is zoned R2 overlay, which allows for single-family and two-family residential uses. They're asking for the short-term lodging to allow for Airbnbs, VRBOs, anything less than 30 days. You can see here on the map, these 2 yellow dots show additional short-term lodging Airbnbs in the area, one just a block to the north, one to the south. And so we think this is incidental to the surrounding properties and matches uses similar in the neighborhood, so we are recommending approval of this. It does have, with it being a corner lot, having street parking on 2 sides as well as parking in the rear with alley access. This went to Planning and Zoning last week, and they voted unanimously to approve the use. So.
Any questions or comments?
Communicated to the neighbors and nothing?
Yeah, we sent the letters to everyone within 185 feet, and I believe the applicant reached out on their own as well.
Okay,
So.
perfect.
So nobody, those are mostly older people that live in that development. Nobody had any,
Nobody came to Planning and Zoning, and I received no phone calls.
thank you.
Okay, so since this is a public hearing, is there anyone who would like to address the council on this item? Any? Come on up. So come on up and state your name and address.
Okay, my name is Lisa Kimanow, and I live at 523 Rhine River Lane. And me and my husband are the ones that are wanting to purchase the property. We live very close to it. And the very first thing that I did was I made sure that the next door neighbor was okay with it. There was no way I was going to do it if she wasn't comfortable. She said absolutely. She did not have any problems with it. I currently take care of the property there as well. I take care of all the outside work for both units. So it's 2 units, and so I take care of all that. And I reached out to the neighbor even next door and then across the street, and they didn't have any problems with it. So, you guys have any questions?
Any questions? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. Are there any,
Send it on to council.
Anybody else?
See if they got any other comments.
is there anyone else who would like to address the council? Okay, we need a motion to
Accept.
accept it into the minutes.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Holtemeyer, seconded by Patke, to accept this item into the minutes. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? By your vote, you accepted the item. Thank you.
An ordinance granting a special use permit to utilize 501 West Second Street as a vacation rental in the city of Washington, Franklin County, Missouri.
Holtemeyer.
Introduced by Councilman Holtemeyer. This is the ordinance that follows the previous item. Any questions or comments? Okay.
An ordinance granting a special use permit to utilize 501 West Second Street as a vacation rental in the city of Washington, Franklin County, Missouri. Heidrich.
Aye.
Holtmeyer.
Aye.
Reed.
Aye.
Patke.
Yes.
Scornia.
Yes.
Pettit.
Aye.
Wessels.
Aye.
Solentrip.
Yes.
By your vote, you approve the ordinance. Thank you.
Citizens' comments.
Is there anyone here who would like to address the council on any item that is not on the agenda? Okay.
Report of department heads. Electric for the city auditorium and old bathhouse.
Wayne?
Good evening, council. In your packet tonight, you'll find a letter. In next meeting, I would hopefully be coming before you with an ordinance and such. But tonight's just informational about a project that we've been working on for a while. Connected to the new pool in a roundabout way. We're looking to get new three-phase electric at the old pool house and the auditorium. As you're aware, in future budget years, we have the renovation of the old pool house, which I believe is next year in FY23, and then in a couple years from that, in maybe 25 or so, the renovation of the auditorium. When we started working on this project, that was, like I said, we've been working on it for a while. Before things shifted around and the auditorium was supposed to be this coming year, I think this year that we're in now, maybe. And then the pool bathhouse, I think in that same year. But right now, let's see, going back, to get this project done and get it done properly, we contracted out with Horn & Associates, so Steve Struberg, to come up with a plan to get electric into these two buildings, the right electric, so we wouldn't have to come back to y'all if something was messed up or anything like that. I didn't want my name on two buildings like that with high potential of, with electric and things like that. You want the right stuff in there the first time, and you want to spend the money the correct way. So Horn and Associates bid it out, did all the paperwork, all the plans and everything for that. We had 5 or 6 bidders. We bid it, with copper wire originally, and the bids came in over budget. We had 5, 6 bidders on the project. The lowest bid was American Electric, and the base bid for the bass house was $28,500, and this was in copper. And then the alternate bid was for the auditorium, and that was $44,750. After realizing that,
Excuse me, Wayne. They have to keep the door open because it's a public meeting. That's the reason. So we'll ask them to, I
Well,
understand that. And if
understand.
Sherry can ask, are they done talking out there? Thank you. That's okay.
fine.
We
It's
just
a
want to
public
let you know
meeting.
why she opened that back up.
It's a public meeting.
Go ahead, Wayne, sorry.
sorry. So anyways, to get things within our budget, for FY '22, I had $45,000 in our parks budget to hopefully do the pool house and auditorium. We came, with copper wire, we came in significantly over, and so we were trying to think outside the box and ways to get this project done since we had invested so much time in it. And we had the lowest bidder, American Electric, rebid it in aluminum wire. And those bids came in quite a bit lower. The bathhouse was $10,300 less, and the auditorium was $7,100 less. I guess, Steve, can I ask you to come up and kind of explain kind of how we got to the aluminum wire aspect of the project?
Basically, American Electric offered up a voluntary alternate of using aluminum in lieu of copper because of all the current prices escalating. So American Electric was low bid on, the base bid was the old bathhouse, and then we split the auditorium out as an alternate bid. They were significantly lower on both of those, and then we accepted the aluminum alternate on both of them, and that was a savings of, I think, like 17,000. Yeah, a little over 17,000. And that, part of the project includes, the bathhouse is actually a single phase, 400 amp panel, which would replace the existing 200 that's there. And then the auditorium currently has, it's a kind of an antiquated system. It's a, what they call three-phase, phase B. And so we're replacing that. All the old oil burning mechanical equipment, which we're probably kind of on borrowed time right now.
Correct.
Is connected to that. But in this plan, we will basically put a whole new service in there, be able to backfeed the existing equipment, and then when that, whether we decide to take it out or it decides to take itself out of service, we'll be ready to go with a new service for it.
Steve, is there a, going from copper to aluminum like that, is there any difference in the expected lifespan of the service?
Not really. Actually, most of your services from Ameren, they pull aluminum wire almost everywhere. It's gotten a lot better. It used to be the big thing years ago was maintenance on it. You'd have to go up and tighten your lugs a little bit because the aluminum expands and contracts more. But now you get your lugs in your panels specifically for aluminum, so its life expectancy is basically the same. I believe the pool house. When
You're just talking about pulling in a home run. You're just pulling in new electric to feed existing electric for now.
Right.
You're just pulling in
There's
a home run for now.
Yeah, there's a little bit of, we have to change some breakers out with the existing mechanical equipment in the auditorium, but basically we're bringing a new service in. And there's we put an allotment of, I think, 16 hours for each building to trace existing circuits down, because what we started finding is there's a lot of stuff that's been terminated over the years. So basically, we don't need to hook all that back up again. And some of the existing bathhouses that way because of the pool project. So there's some exploratory time in there also.
And for the auditorium, we're going to make it available for AC when we do put that in, HVAC system when that time comes, right? I mean,
Yeah, we got some information from Wayne when CTS did your energy audit. They had basically sized some equipment, so we made sure the new service would be adequate for that also.
All the light standards will be set up to handle aluminum where aluminum and copper don't get along.
All the what?
Aluminum and copper don't get along, so all the receptacles in the ceiling, they'll all be changed out too.
Well, once we're just taking the aluminum to the service. All the existing wires will remain. Once it goes through the breaker, they're really not connected.
It's just a supply then?
Yes. Yeah, it's basically from the transformer to the main panel.
Is the city going to help with any of the, like, backhoe work, putting conduit in or anything?
The conduit's already in there. The city had that bored in, was it last year maybe? Or earlier this year?
No, earlier this year, yeah. Like
some of that was
midsummer, I
already-
guess it was.
I think the city's gonna do a little bit of work in the auditorium. Right now, the oil tanks are right there. And so I think you met with the fire chief or somebody, or the building inspector, and just kind of build a short little wall to separate that, which in the near future, those oil tanks will leave. So I think that was all the city was planning on doing.
Yeah, it's already been bored, and street department helped us out last week and patched everything up there outside the auditorium, between the pool and the auditorium.
Any other questions or comments? We'll need a motion to accept this item.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Patke, seconded by Pettit, to accept this item into the minutes. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? By your vote, you accepted the item. Thank you.
Thank you.
Speaking at public meetings. So we received a request to look into a policy for people to register with the city prior to a public hearing if they wanted to address the council. So we are taking that request, and we are looking into seeing what other cities do as well when they come up to speak for public hearings.
We have used it in the past. If you'll remember, we used that was the same process we used for the large meeting that we had out at Knights of Columbus. But we have had it, I think, other times in the past when we knew that we had a crowd and we had to get through a lot of comments as far as that goes. So it came out of Municipal League. If we did do something like that, something that you could see, obviously they could register before the meeting, but we would also make it available if somebody was out in the hallway, if they wanted to go ahead and register as they came in the door, they could go ahead and do that at that time. So that's just, we just wanted to go ahead and put that, see if there's any discussion from you all as council tonight, but we will go ahead and be looking into that and getting some more information back to you.
You said that came out of MLM?
Missouri Municipal League, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of cities that just, they do it, but I mean, like I said, if you want to choose to go ahead and do that, we can. Otherwise, we can keep going the way we have been.
Does it help you out that you know who's going to speak that night as opposed to just whoever wants to?
If we would have a large public hearing, it would help out with the minutes and stuff. That way, we've got the correct name of the spellings of their names. But just for something like this, no.
It doesn't make that much of a
It
difference.
wouldn't make that.
Right.
But if we had a big public hearing, then
But
yes,
see-
that would make a difference.
See, then you can get email addresses and communication to that person. If something comes up and we need to, want to communicate with that person, then we have the information ready, and then we don't have to spend council time finding all that out. And so it's just, basically, the people that live in Washington would be the ones you want to speak. And so if that person does not live in Washington, then really we could deny them not to speak because it's a Washington City Council, not anywhere else.
Franklin County.
And obviously, it depends on the topic, right?
I mean, that's just one scenario. If we have a large gathering like Sherry's saying, then we could filter things a little better.
Mm-hmm. Okay. We'll look into it,
See what it looks
and we'll see what we find. How's that sound? Okay? All right.
John, do you have anything?
I'm done.
Ordinances and resolutions. An ordinance authorizing and directing the execution of agreement by and between the City of Washington, Missouri and Sikich LLP to conduct the annual audit.
Omar.
Introduced by Councilman Holtemeyer.
This evening in your packet, you have an agreement between the city and Sikich LLP, which they recently acquired Hochschild Blooming Company LLP back in January. This is the fifth and final year of this contract. So the standard audit fee is $20,300. If we have a single audit, that would be an additional $3,600 if that's required, which obviously this year it would be because of the ARP funds. So we know that we'll have that as well. So I'm just asking for approval to go ahead with this contract, and they are obviously qualified. They meet all of the requirements for a good audit firm, and we'll go out for RFP next year, so,
Is it the same person that's done it the last couple of years?
yes. And ironically, Sikich was the firm that bid against Hochschild Bloom last year. So it'll be real interesting next year when we go out for RFP to see what
Yeah.
firms bid against
Okay,
them, so.
all right, cool.
Okay. Any questions or comments?
Thank you.
Thank you, Mary.
An ordinance authorizing and directing the execution of an agreement by and between the City of Washington, Missouri and Sikich LLP to conduct the annual audit. Heidrich?
Aye.
Holtemeyer?
Aye.
Reed?
Aye.
Patke?
Yes.
Scornia?
Yes.
Pettit?
Aye.
Wessels? Solentrip?
Yes.
By your vote, you approve the ordinance. Thank you.
An ordinance accepting the bid from Byrne & Jones Construction and to approve the purchase of a turf infield at Ronzik Field by the City of Washington, Missouri.
Padkey.
Introduced by Councilman Patke.
Quick on that one.
It's time.
Good evening, council. In your packet tonight, you'll find a letter and I believe a drawing and a proposal for the infield turf at Ronzik Field. As you all are aware, that project was moved up in the half-cent sales tax budget. And we've been working hard to get a plan together. I feel like we have a good plan together. This has been ran through the Parks and Rec Commission, the American Legion baseball team and manager Kent Getsky are all on board. We'll be able to get the field through a cooperative purchasing program, so that'll save the city some money. And included in this project, we'll be getting, in addition to the turf infield, turf in the dugouts, turf in the bullpens, obviously a home plate installed with, and then base pegs for the bases, and a portable pitching mound, all for $350,000. So I had to work pretty hard to get all those items included into this budget, into our half-cent sales tax budget. But in the end, I got them all in there, and I think we're on. I think we have a good plan, and I think we're well on our way to having a very nice field at Ronzik. And this will help city staff reduce maintenance time on the infield, especially when it rains, dragging time, drying agent, and things like that.
Wayne, do you have an updated project completion date?
Last, they said it would be about a month's worth of engineering work and things like that once we sign the contract, and then 12 weeks, depending on weather, to actually complete the project.
And that 350, that was the budgeted amount, correct?
Correct.
Nice job.
And that's, I was kind of surprised, that's just the infield.
Yes,
So not-
that's just
no
the
outfield.
Infield and the area would run, if you're familiar with the field there, the wagon gate by the third base dugout, all that area in front of the grandstands, behind home plate, and then over to the first base dugout. But yes, they're expensive.
Does that get a concrete border on the outside from the outfield, between the separating outfield and the infield?
They have a special, I forgot what it's called, like a
Called the
turf.
transition strip.
Yeah,
all it amounts
basically,
to.
yeah, it's like a
So yeah, it
turf
is.
turn down or something is the specific, I think, word that they used. And it's kind of their specialty. I know other places have different ways of doing that, but they turn the turf down, and so it's a smooth, we address that with them. It's a smooth transition from.
I like that better than concrete, I mean.
Yeah.
For us.
Right.
Hurting yourself.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
An ordinance accepting the bid from Byrne & Jones Construction and to approve the purchase of a turf infield at Ronzik Field by the City of Washington, Missouri. Heidrich?
Aye.
Holtemeyer?
Aye.
Reed,
Aye.
Patke,
Yes.
Scornia,
Yes.
Pettit,
Yes.
Wessels.
Because we went to the people, and they are the ones that said they wanted this, I will say aye.
Sullentrup.
Yes.
By your vote, you approve the ordinance. Thank you.
An ordinance approving amendment number 26 to the development plan for acquisition of an industrial tract commonly known as the Elmer C. Hydeman Industrial Park, providing for the sale of Lot 18 to JB Capital Investments, LLC.
Holtemeyer.
Introduced by Councilman Holtemeyer.
So this is just another sale in Hydeman Industrial Park on Michaels Drive. Lot 18 is on the east side of that drive on the right when you're going up the hill. JB Capital last month purchased Lot 15, and now they have a contract to purchase Lot 18. So after this is approved, they can close later this month. So.
Any questions or comments?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Sal.
An ordinance approving amendment number 26 to the development plan for acquisition of an industrial tract commonly known as the Elmer C. Hydeman Industrial Park, providing for the sale of Lot 18 to JB Capital Investments, LLC. Heidrich?
Aye.
Holtmeyer?
Aye.
Reed?
Aye.
Patke?
Yes.
Scornia?
Yes.
Pettit?
Yes.
Wessels?
Aye.
Sullentrup?
Yes.
By your vote, you approve the ordinance. Thank you.
An ordinance authorizing and approving a loan to the Washington, Missouri Redevelopment Corporation as evidenced by a promissory note and secured by a deed of trust on real property located in the county of Franklin, Missouri.
Holtemeyer.
Introduced by Councilman Scornia.
Thank you. So the next two items on your agenda, items D and E, are both ordinances pertaining to the purchase of the next industrial park, the Richard Oldenburg Industrial Park. And so the first is a loan to the 353 Redevelopment Corporation, and the second is the designation of the development plan, preliminary development plan for that farm, just like we did with Hydeman Industrial Park when you have to have a development plan set forth by the state statute, and that way every sale will then be approved as an amendment by the future council. Just like we had a sale on Lot 18 and 15 last month, we have accepted an option on Lot 12. All that's left in Hydeman Industrial Park is
Lot 26.
Lot 26, thank you, I was trying to think of the number. Lot 26, about 16 and a half acres there on Enduro Drive. And so I think this comes at good timing to make sure we have land available for our growing industries and for industries that are looking to relocate to Washington. So.
Any comments or questions?
You can see a breakdown of the numbers on the letter that Sal provided you in the back of the ordinance.
Same numbers that we went over last week. So.
And Darren, where does this fit in, like, our overall budget? When we do something like this, a loan to 353, where does that fit into our budget system?
Well, once you go ahead and put this in place, we had to have the money in the general revenue. That's where the explanation in the letter. So obviously, we do not buy land for industrial parks very often. The last time we did was 1999. So it's taken a long time to go ahead and get 250 acres developed, obviously. But it's just, these are funds that we pulled back out of the reserves and to go ahead and cover the cost for that. And then, as you see, with the breakdown, you've got the conservation easement that goes along the creek. That would be purchased from the stormwater use, local use tax fund. You've got the right-of-way detention. Those are capital improvement items that the city will take over and maintain, obviously. And so there's the price for that. And then you've also, we just mentioned within the letter that transfers that one-time sale that we had for the property up on South Point, our share of that to go against it. So basically, the total loan request dropped it down from 3.4 to 2.4 for the 353 Redevelopment Corporation.
Darren, would you want to share with the rest of the council on the total amount that 353s and Hawk to the city for?
I don't know if I can give you all of those numbers. Do you remember?
1.8 right now is what
1.8.
they have on Hydeman left. There's,
I think it's
actually, no,
1.7.
it's 1.7 with
Yeah,
the
it's
sales,
1.7.
with the Lot 18 sale. It's 1.7 million, and then there's with Lot 12 and Lot 26, that'll get it down to about 400,000 left. If you remember, we rolled over 200 from Schultz Industrial Park in 1999. And so the same kind of idea with selling the lots there, we'll be rolling over 200 per park. The idea being that one could possibly be paid off with this last loan with increased lot sales, and two, the benefit of increased jobs and property taxes on that offsets the rollover from that debt from 1999 and now from this newest sale.
So we only got one lot left in Hydeman.
Not under contract or option, correct.
There's about 16 and a half acres on that
16 and a
lot?
half acres there, all the way up and down Durrell Drive.
That's the one across from Hodge?
Yep.
Hodge's Badge.
Okay.
Correct.
Team Track.
And Team Track is available too?
Yes.
There's
2.7 acres buildable.
Buildable.
That is not technically in Hydeman, but that is owned by 353. There's a lot over there that we have reserved. If someone wanted direct rail access, they could build a decent-sized building there on 2.5 acres.
You did not get this creative, I think, in how you chose to finance this 20-some years ago, back in 1999. You did not have.
Oh, I don't think so. No way.
So it has helped with regards to the note and making it much more feasible, I think, for 353 to go ahead and pay that back.
Any other questions or comments?
Thank you.
Thank you, Sal. Okay.
An ordinance authorizing and approving a loan to the Washington, Missouri Redevelopment Corporation as evidenced by a promissory note and secured by a deed of trust on real property located in the county of Franklin, Missouri. Heidrich.
Aye.
Holtemeyer.
Aye.
Reed.
Aye.
Patke.
Yes.
Scornia.
Yes.
Pettit.
Aye.
Wessels.
Aye.
Solentrip.
By your vote, you approve the ordinance. Thank you.
An ordinance approving the development plan for acquisition of an industrial park to be known as the Richard Oldenburg Industrial Park and the purchase of land from Waterman Farms, Inc.
Holtmeyer.
Introduced by Councilman Holtemeyer. This is the ordinance that
The one that follows it, actually
follows it.
designating the development plan for that park. All preliminary, a final development plan, platting it out, will be going to planning and zoning and back to you all later, but until we have our first sale on there, we don't want to strong arm into a certain layout until we know exactly what a buyer would want. So,
Kept for the most part, it's unplatted.
yes, it's basically just one big lot.
You could see on the plat that there is the 25 acres that be retained by the Waterman family adjacent to the Highway 100, and the access will be directly to the west.
Any questions or comments?
With them retaining that 25 acres, they just retain that, or is there any provision for first right of refusal if they ever,
We do not have a first right of refusal with them for that. However, they could if they wanted to. Obviously, if you look at the way that lays out, they could easily go ahead and sell off 8 to 10 acres if you wanted to behind those homes as another industrial lot. That's up to them if they choose to do that at a later date.
thanks.
Anyone else?
An ordinance approving the development plan for acquisition of an industrial park to be known as the Richard Oldenburg Industrial Park and the purchase of land from Waterman Farms, Inc. Heidrich.
Aye.
Holtemeyer.
Aye.
Reed.
Aye.
Patke.
Yes.
Scornia.
Yes.
Pettit.
Yes.
Wessels. Solentrip.
By your vote, you approve the ordinance. Sal, it looks like you have 25 years now to get the next one sold.
A lot less than 25.
Yeah.
Half the
so-
ground.
All right, yeah, it's half the ground, so not quite. 10 years.
I
Okay.
should have commented earlier, but I did want to just make a note about, I think it's a great honor that we can recognize Dick's work.
It is really great.
Naming him.
And so
Yeah.
I think we will have, Sal's going to be working on a marketing plan, obviously, for the park, and we'll try to have some type of groundbreaking ceremony, and certainly invite the Oldenburg family to go ahead and be there, as well as the Watermans. So,
It's exciting. Okay, thank you.
An ordinance approving a boundary adjustment for Kosman Southside Subdivision, Plat 3, in the city of Washington, Franklin County, Missouri.
Holtmeyer.
Introduced by Councilman Holtemeyer.
All right, so this one may look, this Plat may look a little familiar to you. Actually, just last year, we did a boundary adjustment on this, this garage. They did a boundary adjustment for this lot to become L-shaped, and they bought this portion to the back to have access to Burnside and to 8th. The owner of this would now like to break that off to have a new lot that looks like this, so that way you'd have a garage and then a new home. They spoke to us about that months ago, but our code does not allow to have a secondary structure or accessory structure on a lot until there's a primary structure. So essentially, you can't have a garage on a residential lot without a home on it. And so they were waiting to get plans completed, and they have done so, and they have submitted a building permit for a home here, but this is a single-family lot, and so in order for us to approve that, they have to break that off. And so now this plat shows creating this 8,000 square foot lot here. These are still over 6,000, so there's no problem with getting them down. That's R1B, single family residential. And so we're just recommending approval of this subdivision.
Any questions or comments regarding this
Doing this,
item?
they have to put a house there. I mean, that's how.
Correct.
So
And we told them that we had this application ready a couple weeks ago, and we held on to put it on this agenda until we got a building permit in. So once everything was submitted kind of at the same time, we said, okay, we can go ahead and get the plat finalized, so.
Anyone else with a question? Okay, thank you, Sal.
An ordinance approving a boundary adjustment for Kosman Southside Subdivision, Plat 3, in the city of Washington, Franklin County, Missouri. Heidrich?
Aye.
Holtemeyer?
Aye.
Reed?
Aye.
Patke?
Yes.
Scornio? Pettit?
Yes.
Wessels? Sullentrup?
By your vote, you approve the ordinance. Thank you.
An ordinance approving a boundary adjustment for part of Lot 1 and all of Lot 2 of Industrial Park Number 2 in part of U.S. Survey 1925, all in U.S. Survey 1925, Township 44 North, Range 1 West, in the city of Washington, Franklin County, Missouri.
Introduced by Councilman Holtemeyer.
All right, so this is a boundary adjustment. Actually, the next three items on your agenda tonight are all for this development and cleaning this up. This property off Terry Lane and backs up to 9th Street here, this is Noah Medical that has recently gone through a purchase, and in doing so, they've realized that over the years, these lot lines and right-of-way have not been cleaned up, and so they're really just is kind of getting the plat cleaned up and making sure everything is good for the final sale. You can see here on this aerial that this building currently crosses over two properties here. I'm sure that was just how it was platted. This building was built well before we had subdivision regulations, and it was never corrected. What they're also doing is the original plat, you can see in red here, has a cul-de-sac actually platted all the way through. I have outlined in blue the current building, so obviously these improvements here were never built. And then this dotted line is the current property line. So what they're doing, really just cleaning it up, is making this all one lot here, getting rid of this dashed line, and then vacating what you see in red there. And so the first item is the actual boundary adjustment combining these two lots. The second is the quitclaim deed for the land under where the right-of-way is. Is that correct, Mark? That's what that for? Is that for the water line?
No, that's, well, a couple of things. And Mark Ditch is here. Mark is the surveyor who's done all the drawing. He can probably explain this better than I can, but to go through the whole explanation, it hurts your head, but.
It does.
The property was originally owned by the city when the Wonder Maid was first constructed. It was part of an industrial development project back then. There were some transfers that occurred after that, but the deeds were not accurate. There was a parcel that was left out of one of those deeds, and it's sort of shown on 7G. There's a hatchet area, I think that's shown on that drawing.
Right here.
Yeah, and that I believe it's that parcel was left out of the original deed. So part of this is cleaning that up. part of it is removing a utility easement that goes underneath of the building, but is not for a city-owned utility line. If anything, there's a private line, it's not a city line. So we're taking care of that. And the quitclaim deed, again, is to resolve the issue with the errors in the legal descriptions from many, many, many years ago.
And then the third item.
Did he get that right? All
Close
right.
enough.
All right, thank you.
And then that third item I is to actually vacate what you see
I
in red
didn't
here.
either.
So GH and I are all for cleaning this up, and then it'll look like this highlighted here. Won't have to worry about any easements going under the building that were city maintained or any right of way that is on top of the building, so.
I wonder what year Wondermaid came.
And the plan for the cul-de-sac was there, but never used, never put in.
Correct.
So they pull into the building there, use their own parking lot, so there's no need for that.
Correct.
Okay, right.
And for some reason, we vacated half of Terry Lane years ago, but didn't vacate the other half. They discovered all of this, I guess, when they were getting ready to do their closing and title work and whatever, but.
How did that not get fixed when Wondermaid sold the NOC? That's what I don't understand.
No idea.
It wasn't
NOA.
Noah,
Noah.
NOA, I'm
Noah.
sorry, I said NOC.
No idea.
Hard telling. It was probably just a big piece of land back in the 60s that they could put
Yeah.
put a factory, you know?
There were a number of transactions that went on. Anyway, I don't want to belabor the point. This cleans all of that up.
Makes us legal.
Yep.
Okay.
And what about the shed on the bottom corner right down there? That's part of that property?
Yes.
It's not part of the building for the trucking company?
No, it's on this parcel.
Okay.
So
I thought that was,
I don't know if they lease it out to them, but it is not on
maybe,
that
okay,
parcel.
maybe that's the
So,
case. All right.
Okay, any questions or comments? All right, thank you.
An ordinance approving a boundary adjustment for part of Lot 1 and all of Lot 2 of Industrial Park Number 2 in part of U.S. Survey 1925, all in U.S. Survey 1925, Township 44 North, Range 1 West, in the City of Washington, Franklin County, Missouri. Heidrich?
Aye.
Holtemeyer?
Aye.
Reed?
Aye.
Patke?
Yes.
Scornia?
Yes.
Pettit?
Aye.
Wessels? Solentrip?
By your vote, you approve the ordinance. Thank you.
An ordinance authorizing and directing the execution of a quitclaim deed by and between the City of Washington, Missouri and 801 Terry Lane LLC.
Introduced by Councilman Holtemeyer. This is the next ordinance that goes with this cleanup. Any questions or comments?
An ordinance authorizing and directing the execution of a quitclaim deed by and between the City of Washington, Missouri and 801 Terry Lane LLC. Heidrich?
Aye.
Holtemeyer?
Aye.
Reed?
Aye.
Patke?
Yes.
Scornia?
Yes.
Pettit?
Aye.
Wessels? Solentrip?
By your vote, you approve the ordinance. Thank you.
An ordinance vacating a portion of Terry Lane in the City of Washington, Missouri.
Introduced by Councilman Holtemeyer. The final piece?
Sounds good.
All right.
An ordinance vacating a portion of Terry Lane in the City of Washington, Missouri. Heidrich?
Aye.
Holtemeyer?
Aye.
Reed?
Aye.
Patke?
Yes.
Scornia?
Yes.
Pettit?
Aye.
Wessels? Solentrip?
By your vote, you approve the ordinance. Thank you.
Mayor's report?
Just a reminder that this Wednesday evening is the Municipal League dinner, Franklin County Municipal League. We are hosting to be held at Jesuit Hall. We're expecting a near capacity crowd, so we're having a nice turnout. So it'll be a nice evening. Our guest speaker is Jim Alexander from Greater St. Louis.
Correct.
And he'll be talking about some of the changes that have been made with industrial development and such. So it should be a nice evening. So.
City Administrator's report?
The only item I have for you is that we had discussed, and again, this was a topic that came up out of the Municipal League conference, was, and several cities do it, including our partners to the north, or Union, et cetera, and other cities, just a city e-newsletter. We're just looking to go ahead and get another way to go ahead and communicate to the public things that are going on within the city that either may be coming up, or industrial development or commercial development, et cetera. Any things that change, reminders of our services when they come up on a monthly basis, or the big trash day, just another tool to go ahead and communicate to the general public. We're looking at putting them out on a quarterly basis, and the first one would be going out in January. It would be a separate mailing from the utility, because there's a lot of information that other groups use, particularly the chamber and downtown, when we send out those utility bills. But we also thought that if we send it out separate, it would be something that would take notice then with the citizens. So we would have listed, for example, all the council members and their contact information, et cetera, if they have any questions, or if there's anything else, just another way to reach out to the general public. So we'll show you probably a copy of that, what that looks like before the end of the year, but our goal is to have that out and be mailed after the first of the year.
Municipal League was very fruitful.
It was very good.
Learned a lot this year.
That's what happens when you miss a year.
That's right.
Council comments?
Any council comments this evening?
Speechless.
City Attorney's report. Public vote on whether or not to hold a closed meeting to discuss personnel, legal, and real estate matters pursuant to Section 610.021 RSMO 2000. Heydrich?
Aye.
Holtemeyer?
Aye.
Reed?
Aye.
Patke?
Yes.
Scornia?
Yes.
Pettit?
Aye.
Wessels?
Aye.
Solentrip?
Yep.
You didn't text.
I forgot. We have it every.